In a world built on vengeance, one man's past is about to become his daughter's future. Nate is out of prison, but he's broken, haunted, and about to become a target. His daughter Polly is 11 and wary, but she joins him on the run, marked for death by a ruthless gang and a sheriff who won't look the other way. Roadside shootouts, highway chases, moral boundaries disappearing in red dirt rain. Directed by Nick Rowland, based on Jordan Harper's killer novel, this is a father-daughter story soaked in survival, grit, and emotional reckoning. She rides shotgun. Redemption rides in the back seat.
Well, we got some good and bad news.
Mostly bad.
The good news is that this podcast was pretty good.
One of our best episodes, I think.
Yeah. Bad news is that I forgot to push record on the cameras.
And I forgot to double check him.
Yep. And so at this point, it's going to be an audio only podcast, and hopefully you stick around and just listen to it, whether you're driving in the car or working or something else. You can just listen to it on YouTube or even pop over to Spotify and listen to it there, audio only. But this definitely is a podcast that you should listen to, because this is an interesting movie. If you haven't heard anything about it, listen to this podcast, and I guarantee you probably will watch it.
Yeah, I think most people would enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, from this point on, we will be audio only, and we'll start the podcast now. Welcome to the Burnt or Buttered podcast, and today we are talking about
She Rides Shotgun.
That was pretty good harmonizing right there.
There we go.
We didn't practice it, or did we?
You'll never know. We'll never tell.
We do these in one take. Everyone knows it.
It's really easy to tell that we do it in one take.
By how off topic we get. So let's talk about She Rides Shotgun. This, I didn't see anything about this. It was kind of like an indie film. It was like the week of indie films that came out like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was like so many different movies that I never heard of that came out. And She Rides Shotgun looks pretty good. What's his name?
Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton. He stars in a show called Smoke on Apple TV, and because of that show, it's super good. Smoke's super good. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, watch it. But I saw that he was the main character in this movie, so I was like, I better go see this because he's always good in everything that he does.
Eddie the Eagle. Yeah.
Come on,
forget about it.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Huge Jackman. I really like Taron Egerton too. Ever since Kingsman came out, I've been a fan of his. And so when you brought him up, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to go see that. Mm-hmm. And anyways, like we said in the synopsis, it's based on a novel by Jordan Harper, and same name, She Rides Shotgun. And I was listening to an interview with him and I don't know, some other podcaster from NPR or something. Mm-hmm. And he actually was approached by several studios to make it into a TV show.
Oh, really?
But he said that when he was writing it, he knew that he wanted to see it in film format, but that he felt it would only work as a movie. And so
I could totally see how they could make it into a TV show, but it would I think it would live in the realm of like Sons of Anarchy, that type of feeling. But I think that if you're trying to put 8 episodes together there and, an hour long or however long they wanted to do it, you would get into kind of the ridiculousness of it or kind of the corny. It would get corny. I feel
Yeah.
like if it ran too long.
You'd have to elongate it. I mean, I guess I haven't read the book. Maybe there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
But the author himself said that he was really happy with how it turned out. Like, I guess him and Taron Egerton were talking after the premiere, and I guess he didn't have a ton of input during the filming, but he was working on making it a movie basically from the moment that it was published. And it went through a couple different studios and stuff, but
Dang. The director, Neil Rowland, this is, I think we looked up, he hasn't had too many feature films. This is kind of one of his first ones. And it felt like that. It felt like someone's kind of first attempt at a feature film, but there was so much good in this that I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the future.
yeah. And I felt like for somebody's first feature film, like it was pretty amazing. I felt, it had this soundtrack too. Thinking back on it, that soundtrack, it was like electronica pulsating, and it really kept me like engaged, especially during like the chase scenes and stuff.
That's a really good point. I remember thinking about the sound design and the soundtrack, the score while watching it. I was like, man, this is really good. The tone setting of this movie is really, really good too. Even from the opening where you're with Polly, she's gotten forgotten at school. And it seems like this is a regular thing. Like she's not upset by it. She kind of knows that she's going to have to wait for a while. And then a car pulls up and we have no idea who is in the car.
It seems really sketchy because it pulls up super fast.
Super fast. And then he stops and he's like, hey, just come over here.
Hey, get in the car.
Yeah, hey, get over here. And you're thinking, is this guy about to kidnap this girl? You know, like, does she know him? Does she not know him? It doesn't seem like she knows him.
No. Like, before we get too far into the story, Polly, the actress for Polly, amazing.
Super good.
Like, she was so expressive and did such a compelling and real raw feeling portrayal of this kid.
Oh man, like the arc that she goes through and an emotional roller coaster from moment to moment that this little girl has is insane.
Yeah.
Like from contempt and fear to wanting to, be praised and loved to grief, like whatever she was feeling. I mean, she felt every single which way throughout this entire thing. But yeah, when we get introduced to Nate, you have no idea what character he is, and it makes you feel like this person's bad. Like you kind of have, that he's not good for some reason, and then it exposes that, Paulie's like, hey, where's mom? Hey, where's my stepdad or whatever? And he's like, oh, they're fine. And they're not fine.
Yeah. Well, and you find out he just got out of jail and maybe a little bit early. So we're like, I don't know if he's supposed to be out of jail.
Yeah. If he broke out and he's just kidnapping her, get away. Yeah. A lot of, that's the intrigue at the beginning of this movie is crazy. And the intrigue continues for the majority of it. Like you're learning tiny pieces about the psyche of this person throughout the film, which makes it really, really fun.
Yeah.
There are some like dead points, I feel like, though, where it just feels, that's where I feel like it's the first feature film where there's a few dead points where you're just like, man, if that was tightened up and there was a little bit, if it was just a little bit different there, it would really have changed the film.
Would have gone from it would have gone up a 0.5 or so. Well, and then, like I feel like there were some dragging moments. I don't really remember them. Do you remember any of the?
I think like there were a couple moments like them in the hotel that seemed like it was kind of a little bit too long. And there were kind of like cut scenes. I can't remember what cut scenes there were, but they just feel kind of disconnected to the story where they're there, but also it doesn't feel good. You know, like there were just moments where I was watching it where I got taken out of the goodness that I was watching. Like, if that's the right way to say that, like,
it took you out of the moment. Like you remembered you were watching a movie,
or like I was like, this is so good. And then it was just slightly not as good as the rest of the movie. So it took me out of that feeling of, oh, this is a really good film. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like, oh, that was just not as good as the majority of what's happening. Like, because there's so much depth in this movie that you don't get in most films. You know, the emotional side or just the arcs that you're feeling with changing your perception of people. I think that's the biggest thing that I got from this film is that you think you know Paulie and you don't. You think you know Nate and you don't. You think you know his girlfriend from the past and you don't. And like, you don't know who people really are. You know, and that's what was really interesting about this film.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is there really isn't anybody in this movie who is all good. You know, everybody has a shade of gray or, you know, or has a really dark side. Mm-hmm. And like even the cop who objectively seems like he's trying to do good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. He's using bad methods, you know? Yeah. And everybody that you think is bad, well, some of them are actually pretty bad. Yeah. But like Nate, you start off thinking that like this guy's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah.
And you start realizing, you know, he kind of got mixed up in some stuff. He had a bad upbringing and like, you just start seeing more humanity in all these people who maybe initially you would look at and be like, oh, that's not a good person.
Yeah. Well, and I think the level that this movie goes to and as far as the hit or what they call it, the green light being put on Paulie is to everybody just what's the right word?
It's like too far.
Yeah, it's too far. Like most criminals don't think that that's okay.
Yeah.
Like putting a green light on a little girl to just kill her and all these people trying to kill this little girl. And I think that like it would have been a different story if Nate had just been greenlit and he was trying to like take his daughter with him and she had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, but with that, he probably wouldn't have picked her up. He would have just left her, right? Because she's not in danger at all. But with her being greenlit, it added a dynamic that is just like, how could these people just blindly be so bad that they're willing to kill this 11-year-old girl that knows nothing about anything?
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, and even the girl that she like says that she loves him or that she loved his brother or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Knowing that she's bringing this guy that there's a green light on Paulie, like, and her trying to like coax them out of the room and stuff like that is like, how can you do that?
Well, yeah. Yeah. And she calls while he's in the shower. So like he's indisposed, you know, while he's at his most vulnerable. Well, and she kind of helps him get away, you know, get out of the situation. But at the same time, like she put him in the situation.
Yeah.
And it's so, there's so many of those situations in this movie where you're like, I don't really know how to react to this right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think it comes down to everybody is thinking about themselves and self-preservation besides Nate and besides the cop. Everyone else is just focused on surviving the slumland or whatever they call it. I can't remember what they call it. But
Slab Town
or yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many different moments in this of calmness and unspoken acting that just speak to you.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about like when she had to, patch him up and whatnot, and she bought him clothes. I don't know if these are the right size. And he's like, what, wolves or something like that. But like, it was just such kind of a humanistic moment where like a kid might really do that, and then also I was thinking about when they're driving away from the cops after robbing the convenience store. Like that was such an awesome scene, that chase scene.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and even just the robbing scene in general, because she's there and she, the act of them dyeing her hair and cutting her hair was a transformative thing for her, where she's accepting, okay, I'm with my dad. Like I'm going on this adventure. I kind of have to like believe that my mom's okay, but deep down, I know that she's not okay.
Yeah.
And then she figures out that she's not okay. They go on to this thing and accepting that my dad's kind of a bad person, but there might be, I don't know, like we can do things that most people can't do because he's bad. So let's just go rob this place. And he acts like it's just no big deal. He's just like, just hang out here. I'll be back in a second.
Man, I thought he was going to be so much better at that.
Yeah. But there's just so much to that. That's just crazy. Like that was a great sequence of acting, and you're thinking about so many different people in that scene where I feel like normally you're mostly focused on one person's perspective. And you see the movie from one person's perspective, where in this film, you can see it from a lot of different angles, and they do that really well.
Yeah. That was cool. And going back to her dyeing her hair and then them like bonding over the fact that she actually likes it. Like there were just so many moments like that are like cute, wholesome little moments in this chaotic and crazy like movie,
Yeah. And those were the moments that I felt, wow, this movie is different, or this has a different feeling to it.
Yeah.
I mean, even just her waking up, seeing the TV, figuring out about her mom and her stepdad, and having the battle inside of herself of wanting the cops to come, but then regretting her decision immediately. And like, it's just, and so her running and telling him, and then his reaction to it of just a very honest, like open reaction of, I get why you did that. I'm not mad at you. Like, let's just go. If you want to like stay with me, let's go. Let's figure this out. Like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Cause you would think the normal reaction would be like, what have you done? Like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why,
Yeah. And I feel like that's why it felt so real. There weren't many situations in this movie where I was like, why would they do that? That doesn't make sense. Like I felt like everything made sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, looking at from the eyes of like the father to his daughter as well, of just like, no matter what my kid does, it's okay. Like I'm not going to be angry with them. I'm not going to be upset. Like it just like, I get it because they're a kid, and I shouldn't expect them to be able to manage feelings like I manage them.
And I don't even manage them that well.
Well, and I think about like with Ozzy crying, and I thought, with other people's kids, it's so easy to to have a thought of being annoyed with a kid crying, and then
like on an airplane or something,
on an airplane or whatever, the kid's just nonstop crying.
Yeah.
And then you have your own kid, and it's just like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, cause you get it. You get that they're not doing this to be annoying. You get that like, they're not trying to be away. Like they are legitimately a baby that has no other way of communicating other than what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how can I be mad? How can I be upset? How can I be frustrated while they have no malice or no like intention other than just being what they are?
And sometimes I wish that my life was that simple.
Yeah, definitely. Where, you can just sit on the carpet and play with a water bottle all day long and be super happy.
If I had a playpen, game over.
It's called virtual reality, dude.
You look in my goggles and it's just a diaper.
It's just a giant playpen with like a ball that you
just rattling stuff. That's what I bought VR for.
just from perspective of being really small.
And it won't let you go anywhere. You have to stay on your back.
Yeah, you're like completely helpless. You're like, this is frustrating. You have like a cry button. It's a crying.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good things about this film. And not to say like I didn't leave the movie being like, oh, that was the best film of the year, you know?
Yeah.
I left it excited to see what's next, you know, from this director for sure.
Yeah. And I left it thinking, you know, after finding out that it was based on a book, I was like, I feel like that would actually be a pretty good book. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stay tuned. I'll read it.
And he probably won't tell you anything about it.
Stay tuned. Well, in our 1 year retrospective, I'll tell you what I thought about the book versus the movie.
There we go. Well, let's put a rating on this thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really enjoyed it. Like the ups and downs, the calm moments, the fast paced, energetic moments, the John Marston ending, you know, like, oh, we didn't even talk about the very ending scene, which was Polly's just dancing, kind of crying at the same time. And it felt very reminiscent of the ending of X or Pearl.
Yeah.
Did X? No, yeah, just Pearl. Yeah. It felt like it left me feeling that way, except for happy instead of like freaked out.
I think it just shows how powerful of an actress.
Oh, she's amazing.
That Polly is like,
and she was 10 when they shot this.
Like the story that's going on her face in that moment of in the adoption house and these kids having joy and her allowing herself to think maybe I can have joy too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a great ending. I felt like, not the ending we wanted, but the ending we deserved.
So what do you think rating wise?
I'm actually going to give it a 4. I really felt like it was a strong movie.
Nice. Yeah. I'm going to agree. I think there's so much of this movie that feels really good for an unknown trailerless movie that was probably super low budget. I don't know what the budget was on this thing. It was really, really good. And I'm going to have to give it a 4 as well. I think it's worth a 4. I'm super excited to see what this director has in the future, because the way that this was told was original. It felt very cohesive. I don't know how much he directed the actors and how much Polly, this is just naturally she's that good, or did he bring this out of her, you know, in his directing? But yeah, it was a great film.
Yeah. This is a rare one, folks. We have the same rating. This doesn't happen very often. So count your blessings.
Count your blessings. That's just for you, whoever's watching.
If you've made it this far, then you should probably go check out one of our other reviews.
Yes, if you made it this far, maybe watch one of our most controversial episodes, which there's a few of them so far. We
28 years later.
28 years later. What was another one?
Sinners.
The unicorn one.
Oh, Death of a Unicorn.
Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there.
We're over 30 episodes.
Yeah, I think we have a few in the in the freaking backpack right now that we got to pull out. So this could be episode like 33, 34. Could be one of those.
Up to 38 or 9.
Yeah. So if you're still watching this, yeah, stop. Just kidding. I'll probably cut it before we get to this part.
Anyways,
We'll see you in the next one.